I'm Tim Douglas. I work in the art department for Off-World Industries on Squad. Been here since the start of the project. Yeah, mostly do the stuff you'll have seen from me is just some guns, vehicles, small props, but mostly weapons and vehicles.
What is your most recognizable piece in game right now? What would you say if you had to point out to somebody what you had done recently?
Probably the Bradley is worked on the last big thing that most people have seen in the last patch, and a lot of people have been enjoying those new vehicles. Before that, did the MTLB vehicles, PKM, PKP, SPG, ZSU, stuff. I can't remember now, but yeah, that's stuff. You'll probably seen those stuff in game if you play Squad.
Have we been continuing to use 3 model scans for future models, vehicles in specific? You may not know that. But...
So we don't. Well, we use them as a guide for vehicles so far, where you can. If anyone hasn't seen it, in I can't remember which recap, but a few of us went to the Bombing and Tank Museum and scanned a few tanks, which is just basically taking pictures all around the vehicle, computer program, a 3D model of it. And we've been using those as a guide to build our vehicles off. So you get a very accurate basically. So yes, personally, some of the stuff I've been doing now, I've gone on my way to try and photo scan those vehicles first before I do them. I know some of the environment guys do it for vegetation and stuff like that. We haven't really done anything with any uniforms or anything like that. Like I know Postscriptum did some of that. They scanned some uniforms.
So we have some assets that you've been working on recently. If you kind of want to get into some of your, you have some things to show off. If you want to tell us about that
sure.
Before we flip over.
Yeah, if you've seen the last recap, what I'm working on currently is called the Bulldog, which is the British APC vehicle. That's just had in the mid-2000s. So it's an old vehicle, but it's had a ton of armor and stuff bolted onto it. And for Squad, it's going to ground vehicle for the faction, a troop carrier with good protection, but not too much armament. So it should work really well with the warriors we have in game, and it should be quite an interesting vehicle as well. Lots of armor, built for transporting the full squad around. Doesn't really have the firepower to do much offensively. Look forward to how it plays. Hopefully a very teamwork oriented vehicle. So yeah, just been cracking away at that one.
Are you in the office? And if not, can you kind of tell us what your work office environment is like?
Well, no. All the art team's remote. Mostly they're programmers and a few other guys that are in the office in Canada.
But yeah, otherwise, like, you could pretty much pick a time zone and probably find a squad developer in it around the world. We have, and that includes like the military advisors, and so it is a truly international team. And I think, if I had to guess, maybe 20% of the people are in the office, and yeah, people do go in to visit, and we do try to get the team together periodically so they can work together. But yeah, we do have a distributed team, and it is really cool because that does allow us to access people around the world that have all sorts of experiences, and you know, like when you're recreating some realistic things in game, that is absolutely a boon. Are you effectively making 3 versions of the model? Is it 3 times the work? Are you just kind of tweaking down? Or...
Yeah, so you'll start with your highest quality one, the one that you'll see when you're right next to an object. And then from there, you just basically, it's a clone of that, and then you remove some. So that's the one you're closest to is what we call LOD 0, when you're immediately next to the vehicle. And as you walk away, it'll become to LOD 1, which is what we use for if you use low graphics. So there'll be some reduction in detail, but yeah, we're quite careful that you want it so it's not really perceivable, like a big change in the object. Then after that, as you get further, it becomes a smaller speck on your screen, and you can be very aggressive with removing detail on it. So we usually the first two, you spend a bit of time on making them it's not perceivable as you get further away that the object's changing too much. I mean, we've all seen it in games and stuff where you'll load in or something and a house is just like a cube, and then it'll load in and become, how it's supposed to look.
That is a really kind of good question. How do you scan a tank?
You take a lot of pictures. I think about 350, 400 photos is probably about what you need of every angle you want to capture. It's just literally walking around with a camera. You need about 80% overlap on your photos. So it's just quite a tedious process of just taking a picture, moving a little bit, taking a picture, moving a little bit. At Bovington, we made a very janky ladder rig with some gaffer tape and a camera and a tripod on top. And so we could get, because, some of these tanks are very big, and you've got to cover all the top. So, yeah, that can be the most challenging stuff, is just actually being able to get the access to take pictures. A lot of, if you want to go and scan some of these vehicles, a lot of time they're parked against each other and stuff, and you'll never be able to capture some areas. So we got lucky with quite a lot of that. Lighting can be another problem. Bright daylight. Very bright sunlight can be a bit of a problem. So you got to do some setup to make sure you get a good capture. It's definitely worth doing. I think basically eliminate your gathering and block out stage of the work. Really, just create the real thing right there. Bring it into our 3D program, and it's just there right in front of you, and you can just build off, basically.
All right, well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Just a quick reminder that we do have a free weekend, and Squad is currently 40% off. Head out there, play, join us in Discord. Let us know what you think. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll have this archived on Twitch and YouTube for your enjoyment later. And, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.